Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. There's one simple composition technique that works every single time you press the shutter, and yet it doesn't really get appreciated enough. Some people would dismiss it as too easy or too static, or this thing that lacks tension, but they are all most definitely wrong. And here's a bunch of images on the screen, and can you see from some of these what this technique might be? Okay, I'm playing games here, but don't worry because I'll explain all in a minute. But in this video, I'm going to show you why this technique is one of the most powerful tools in photography. And if you stay to the end, I'll show you how professional photographers and talented amateurs rely on it more than you might think. My name's Tony Eveling. I'm an outdoors and natural light photographer from the UK, and I make videos on everything to do with photography, with a particular love of composition, post-processing, and just getting the best out of your natural talent. So why not subscribe to my channel to see more, and if you find this video helpful, please give it a like so that YouTube can share it with other aspiring photographers. Also, check out my Lightroom presets in the description below. And for exclusive goodies and resources, have a look at my Patreon site. I would really appreciate that. And if you're really serious about improving your photography, I've got a 5-hour course on composition which is designed to help you see and compose like never before. All links can be found below in the description. And so now, after that shameless plug, let's just get on with it. So there are two main types of composition, one being asymmetric compositions, where each side of the composition is significantly different from the other, and it's from that we get the most famous rule of all, which is the rule of thirds. But don't worry, I am not going to talk about that, because I'm talking about symmetrical compositions, where the left side of the composition is a mirror image of the right side. And that's what I want to talk about, because both asymmetrical and symmetrical compositions produce images as good as each other. But it's those pesky asymmetric compositions via the rule of thirds that get all the attention. So I want to put the spotlight on symmetry and try and prove to you how unique and brilliant symmetry is. So when you're out there in that picture making moment, composing your photo, you might also want to take a moment and check if what you're looking at is symmetrical or asymmetrical. That may help you to tune into your moment of inspiration. And that moment of inspiration, which you can learn about in detail by clicking on that link that's just appeared on the screen, is that little moment where a scene opens up in front of you and you just know there's a photograph somewhere in that bigger scene. It's a little feeling of excitement that makes you think something like, I bet that would make a good photo. But how do you compose it? And whatever happens next will result in one of two things, an asymmetrical photo or a symmetrical one. It's as simple as that. And there is something quite weird about symmetry. At least I think so. And it's a really important point to make. And that is that symmetry always works in a composition. If you apply symmetry, you will always get a photograph that looks good compositionally. So you might think it's weird that I think it's weird. But I think it's weird because it always works. And it never doesn't work. As long as you apply a little bit of discipline, it will always work. So what I now want to do is just to talk about these 8 photos for a little bit. Every single one of these 8 photos uses the exact same composition. So when I take a photo, I divide the scene into objects. So the sky will be an object, the buildings will be an object, everything will be an object. And then I can place those objects in the frame or leave them out of the frame as I see fit, according to my intuitive moment. Usually an intuitive moment rather than a kind of mechanical moment. So the most important objects here are these objects in the center of the frame at the bottom. So on the top left, it's a road. Next to that is a road. Next to that is a path with the men on walking towards the camera. The right hand side, a road going through those fountains to that building. Down here on the bottom right, a track going into the distance. Then a jetty, then stairs, then a building. And they all have the same visual function of leading the eye into the photo. They start off at the bottom of the frame wide. They end up more narrow at the end of those objects. And so every single composition is the same, different location, different subject matter, but they all employ symmetry in exactly the same way. It's repeatable over and over and over again. So we move on to these photos and it's exactly the same principle, but different subject matter, kind of different format, but symmetry. Same composition, trees going from left to right, sweeping across the frame, leaving the frame at the bottom, leaving the frame at the top, encroaching into the edges on the right and left, except the middle one there, but it's kind of still the same principle. So same composition, symmetry, different locations and different subject matter. And again, you can employ these mechanically or you can be guided by your intuitive moment. And by mechanically, I just mean that you're not being creative. You can just point your camera at a group of trees, get them all nice and even and straight, and you will get something pleasing to the eye. It's not going to be 100% guaranteed, but it's over 50%. And that's why I say that this is weird, because it works every time, even when you're not inspired. So let's move on. So here's a final group of photos that I want to demonstrate here. So this is Symmetry again, same composition in all 6 photos. A single object in the center of the frame. Nice and simple. Boat, island, sheep, island, sun. And put them in the center of the frame. Repeatable over and over and over again in different locations with different subject matter. And again, sometimes it comes from an inspired moment, an intuitive moment, that moment of inspiration. And sometimes you can do it mechanically if you're not feeling so inspired on that day. And that's a great thing about Symmetry. And now one last thing here in this little section. So another little thing that you can employ is this thing where you have the background which is completely symmetrical, where the left hand side is a mirror image of the right hand side, and that gives you a blank canvas. And then moving objects in that scene can move into the scene, out of the scene, across the scene, and when you get them in the right position, you take the photo. And that's exactly what I've done here. I was watching that woman with the dog, playing with the dog on the beach, and I got a dozen photos, and then this one was absolutely perfect. But again, that's repeatable, especially when you've got moving objects like people playing around in a park or a beach or whatever. Get yourself a symmetrical background and then wait for the people or any moving objects to move into the appropriate position, and then you take the photo. Again, repeatable over and over and over again. So don't dismiss Symmetry just because it doesn't follow the rule of thirds or any other compositional guideline. And so Symmetry and asymmetry, they kind of go together as the two major types of composition. And remember, things don't always need to be off-center. A compelling, visually appealing photograph will always guide the viewer's eye to the subject without distractions, whether it's asymmetrical or not. Anyway, if you search for professionally taken images online, you'll be amazed at how often Symmetry is employed. And so, as promised, here is proof of that, as here is an image search on the National Geographic website, and I would say that all or nearly all of the photographs here were taken by professionals or talented amateurs, or at least experienced amateurs. So let's just see, if we scroll down, how many of these have employed Symmetry. So the top one, obviously Symmetry. And then we've got Symmetry here, Symmetry next to it, asymmetry here, almost symmetry again. That's symmetrical composition, but the mountains on the horizon are asymmetrical. Let's scroll down and a bit more. So here we go, Symmetry there. I would say that's Symmetry, almost Symmetry, not quite, but some of these are cropped so we can't see the full image. Symmetry there and there, and there, and there. There. So there's a lot of symmetry here. Maybe 1 in 3 images are symmetrical. Symmetry there, and so it goes on there and there. So I would say 1 in 3 of these roughly is symmetrical. And we can go all the way down to but anyway. And you can go and do this search yourself. It's just a site search on the National Geographic website for the term landscape photography. And you will see just how many and just how often accomplished photographers employ Symmetry in their photography. And I don't think that a lot of them realize they're doing it. They've just got a moment of inspiration, that intuitive moment, and they take that photo. Maybe when they get back home, they don't even notice that they're using Symmetry so much. But they are, and I do, and so should you too. And so you can see just how common Symmetry is, and just how compelling and visually pleasing they are or can be. Now then, what about you? Have you ever noticed how symmetrical compositions always work? Or if you are skeptical, why not go out and give this a go? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear how you got on. Or maybe you just think that there is nothing to this. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Okay, so here's a shameless plug for a course that I provide outside of YouTube, specifically a photography composition course that gives you a clear formula for better shots every time you press the shutter, or at least a much higher hit rate. You'll learn the entire picture making process in short, easy to digest videos, with optional assignments and feedback from me and fellow students, We'll also analyse the compositions of legends like Ansel Adams and Annie Leibovitz. It's 5 hours of solid tuition, and YouTube viewers get an exclusive 70% discount. Okay, shameless plug over. And if you want to find out how you can learn how to tap into that intuitive moment, which is the beginning of every great photo, then you need to watch this video here. And if you found this video helpful, then please give it a like so that YouTube can share it with other photographers. And I hope that these tips did inspire you to get out there and capture some great photos.